We continue now at the top of Daf Mem Tes Amud Aleph in Meseches Sanhedrin. This is Sanhedrin Daf 49a. On the previous summit, the Gemara said that the curses that David HaMelech said for Yoav ended up coming upon his descendants, upon David HaMelech's descendants. And so the Gemara now says that's what people say. Tehilot, it's better to be the one that is cursed. Velo tehilata, not to be the one that is giving the curse, because they'll end up rebounding upon you. Rashi explains, Tehilot velo lota noach l'cha lios min ha'mekulolim. It's better for you to be one of the people who is cursed. Velo min ha'mekalalim, not one of the people who is issuing the curses. Lefisha sof kilal aschinam lashav elamekal, because in the end, that kind of klala, that's chinam, so to speak, that's for nothing, is going to return on the person who issued the curse. And the Gemara continues, Asyua leYoav daine, they brought Yoav in front of Shlomo HaMelech, and Shlomo HaMelech judged him. Amar le, he said to him, My time katalte la'avner, why did you kill Avner? Amar le, he said to him, Goel Hadam d'Asol havai, because I'm considered the Goel Hadam, the redeemer of the blood of Asol. Avner killed Asol, and therefore I'm able to kill Avner as retribution for him killing Asol. But the Gemara continues that Shlomo HaMelech responded, Asol rodef hava, but Asol was actually a rodef. He was pursuing Avner, and so therefore Avner had a right to kill him. Amar le said back to him, but still he could have saved himself by just hitting Asol in one of his limbs. He didn't have to kill him. Amar le, so Shlomo HaMelech said to Yoav, Lo yachale. Shlomo HaMelech said to Yoav, he wasn't able to do that. Avner was not able to do that, and therefore he had to kill him. Amar le, so Yoav said back to Shlomo HaMelech, Hashta bedofen chamishes kiven, if he was able to hit him in the fifth rib exactly, Tichsiv, as it's written in the pasuk, Vayakeyu Avner bi'acharei hachanis al hachomesh, that Avner hit him with the back of the spear at the fifth rib. V'yamar Rabbi Yochanan says, bedofen chamishes, he hit him in the fifth rib, b'makom shemora v'kavet teluyin bo, at the place where there's the gallbladder and the liver. So if he was able to be so precise, bi'echad me'ivarav lo yachale, he couldn't hit him in one of his other limbs. So Amar le, so Shlomo Melech then said to Yoav, Nezel Avner, okay, let's leave aside Avner, but you did something else also. My time katalta la'amasa, why did you kill Amasa? Amar le said to him, Amasa mored b'malchus have. The reason why I killed Amasa is because Amasa was considered a mored b'malchus. He rebelled against the king. Because it's written in the pasuk, Vayomer hamelech la'amasa, the king said to Amasa, Hazek li asi Yehuda shloshas yom, you have 3 days, gather for me the men of Yehuda. Vayelech Amasa hazek as Yehuda vayocher, and then it says in the pasuk that he went to do that, but he was late. He did not do it in the amount of time that he was given. And the Gemara says to that, Amar le said back to him, Amasa achen v'raken darash. The reason why Amasa did that was because he darshaned the pasuk when it says ach and rak. As Rashi now explains, Achen v'raken darash eshkechon shemitzon shayu asukin b'Meseches. He found that they were learning. V'lo ratzu levadlan, when he went to gather them, he didn't want to be mevatel their learning. He didn't want to stop them from learning. Kidem mefarish v'yazol, as will be explained, de'eino mord b'malchus. He's not considered to be a mord b'malchus. Techsiv rak chazak v'yamatz. When it says that you should be strong, it uses the word rak, and the idea is that a king, there's an exclusion to that strength. The rak and miyutin. The word rak is always an exclusion. Shimba hamelech levatel divrei Torah. If the king wants to be mevatel divrei Torah, in shomin lo, we don't listen to him, and so therefore Amasa was not considered to be a mored b'malchus, and that's why Yoav actually is responsible for killing Amasa. As the Gemara now continues and explains, Ashkechinu, because he found the people of Yehuda, the pasuk luhu b'Masechta, they were starting a new Masechta. So Amar, so he said to himself, Ksiv, it's written in the pasuk, Kol ish asher yamres picha, v'lo yishmas devarecha l'chol asher tetzavenu. Anybody who rebels against you, again talking about the king, this is talking about Yehoshua. So if anyone rebels against you and doesn't listen to you, he should die. But he darshan as follows, Yachol afilu l'divrei Torah. One might think, even if it has to do with the learning of Torah, Talmud lomar, the pasuk says, rak chazak v'yamatz. Again, it uses the word rak, that's an exclusion. As far as divrei Torah is concerned, then you do not need to listen to the melech. And the Gemara continues that Shlomo HaMelech continued and he responded to Yoav, Elahu Gavra, rather that person, meaning you, Yoav, are mored b'malchus hava. You're the one that's actually a mored b'malchus. You rebelled against the king. Techsiv, because it's written in the pasuk Vashmu bad Yoav, that the news came to Yoav, ki Yoav nota acharei Adoniah, because Yoav, he followed Adoniah against David HaMelech. Ve'acharei Avshalom lo nota, he didn't follow Avshalom against David HaMelech, but he did follow Adoniyahu. That was mored b'malchus. And the Gemara says, Milo nata, what does it mean that after Avshalom he didn't follow? Amar Rav Yehuda says what it means is Shebikesh lintos, that actually he did want to follow Avshalom as well. Velo nata, but he did not. Umay time velo nata, why didn't he follow Avshalom? Amar Rav Elazar says, Adayin lichluchis shel David kayemis. The reason why he didn't follow after Avshalom is because the vitality of David HaMelech at that time was still strong. And the Gemara continues, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Chanina says, Adayin itzdagnine shel David kayamin. The itzdagnine, the simple translation is the fortune of David HaMelech was still in existence. We'll see Rashi in a moment. T'yamar Rav Yehuda Marav, because Rav Yehuda said that Rav said, Arba meos yuladim hayu lo leDavid. David HaMelech had 400 children, Kulam b'nei Yefas Toar hayu. They were all sons of Yefas Toar, the beautiful women that were taken in war. Umegadle bloris hayu, and they had the Gentile hairstyle. Umehalchen b'roshe hagaisos, and they would walk in front of all the soldiers hayu. They would walk in front of the troops. V'hein hein bale agroven shel David, and they were the strong arms of David HaMelech. As long as David HaMelech had that, so he did not want to challenge David HaMelech. And Rashi explains, Vashmu, and the news came to Yoav, Kishanimshach Shlomo. This is talking about when Shlomo was anointed, Boil Yoav in his Yare. So Yoav heard the news and he was afraid. Ki Yoav not Acharei Adoniyo, ve'Acharei Avshalom lo not, because Yoav had followed Adoniyo and not Avshalom. Kishamor b'David Aviv. That's talking again when Avshalom rebelled against David HaMelech. Milo nota. Why does it mention anything about not following Avshalom here? Kilomar mal lanu lahazkir kan. What are we mentioning Avshalom for here? V'chi ma hayalo lira shlo nota achar Avshalom. He has nothing to fear from the fact that he did not follow Avshalom, and that over here he's following Adoniyo. Rather, what the pasuk is telling you is as follows: Shebikesh lintos gam acharei Avshalom. That the truth is, Yoav not only wanted to follow Adoniyo as he was right now, he wanted to follow Avshalom when Avshalom rebelled against David HaMelech. Ela shelo gamar machshavto. He just wasn't able to do it. K'nei mefarish, as is explained in the Gemara, Mimnei shadayin haya lechluchis kvu roso shel David kayemes, because David was still mighty at that time. Aval achshav shehizkin, but now that he became older, Yatzmi Darko v'nata acharei Adoniya. So then he was able to follow Adoniya, and that's why he was a Mord b'Malchus. And then the Gemara gave another explanation, Itzdagnine David, that there was still the Itzdagnine David. And Rashi explains that to mean Balei Agrofet Shalo, Shal Yadam Hu Nilcham v'Yotziu v'Al Piyam, meaning to say again, he had the strong men at that time. And Rashi notes, Itzdagninos Techol Hashas Loshen Mazolos v'Chozim b'Kochavim. Usually the word Itzdagninos has to do with a person's fortune, those who look in the stars. V'Hanach Karihachi, they're referred to over here, these mighty people of David HaMelech are referred to in that fashion, David Nismach Aleim, because David would rely on them. He would do what they said, he would follow their words. And Rashi continues, Yelodim Bachurim, again they were young men, Umegadle Bloris, they had the hairstyles, Kamishbarov de Kochavim, like those who worship idols, they had those same hairstyles. And Rashi says that was Kadesh Yiru Balei Eimov Yifchedu Mehen, that way they would appear to be people who were people to be afraid of. Uvenei Yefas Toar, they were also the sons of Yefas Toar. That means Nesheov de Kochavim Shayu Lochem B'Shivya. We're talking about these wives they were taken captive during war. V'tir and Hakosov, the pasuk says you're allowed to marry a Yefas Toar, like it says in the pasuk in Sefer Devarim. And the Gemara continues, Upligad Rabbi Abba Bar Kahana. All of this argues on Rabbi Abba Bar Kahana, meaning those that see Yoav in a negative light are arguing on Rabbi Abba Bar Kahana. Do you remember Rabbi Abba Bar Kahana? Because Rabbi Abba Bar Kahana says, Il Mole David lo asa Yoav milchama. If not for David, Yoav wouldn't have been able to wage war. Vil Mole Yoav lo asak David b'Torah. And if not for Yoav, David would not have been able to learn Torah. T'chsiv, as it's written in the pasuk, David osa mishpat utztaka l'chalamo v'Yoav ben Sruya al hatzav. It says David, he did justice for the nation, and Yoav was leading the army. And when you understand that to mean matam David osa mishpat utztaka l'chalamo, why was David able to carry out justice for the whole nation? Mishum the Yoav al hatzav. It was because Yoav led the army. Umatam Yoav al hatzav. And why was Yoav able to lead the army? Mishum the David osa mishpat utztaka l'chalamo. Because David, he led the nation with justice. And Rashi explains, Il Mole David Shayosik b'Torah lo asa Yoav milchama. If not for David learning Torah, Yoav would not have been able to be successful in war. Avol zechuso shel David omedis lo Yoav. It was the merit of David HaMelech that helped Yoav in milchamos of shel David, in the wars that he fought on behalf of David HaMelech. And the Gemara continues, the pasuk says, Vayetze Yoav mim David vayishlach malochim acharei Avner vayashivu oso mibor hasira. It says in the pasuk that Yoav left from David, and he sent messengers after Avner, and he returned him from Bor Hasira. And the Gemara says, my Bor Hasira, what does it mean, Bor Hasira? Amar Rabbi Abba Bar Kahana. Rabbi Abba Bar Kahana says, Bor Vesira, it was the Bor and the Sira, that's the Bor and the Sira is a thorn, Garmulo la Avner sheyahareg. Those ultimately caused that Avner would be killed. And Rashi explains, Bor v'sira garmul ala Avner shenerag, bor tzapachas mayim shalokach David, merashosov shel shol kashoy yoshin b'magol. The bor that refers to the pitcher of water that David took that was right by Shaul, u'kashamar lehem David b'nei maves atem shelo shamartem es adonechem, and when David said to them that you are liable to the death penalty, you weren't protecting your master properly, shekvar ha'isi yachol orgo, that I could have killed him, re'una efo chanis hamelech ve'ayeh tzapachas hamayim, you see that I was able to take that water, and there was the spear of the king. At that point in time, hayolo la'avner limchos b'shol v'lomarlo, at that point in time, what Avner should have done was, he should have told Shaul, Rakam et Tzaddik, look what a Tzaddik David HaMelech is, Shalo Hargacha, that he didn't kill you. In other words, Avner should have told Shaul that David had the opportunity to kill you and he did not. V'lo Michael Amar Shema Echad Mimnei Hatzav Nesanim Lo, but he didn't do that. Instead, Avner just said, maybe someone from maybe one of the soldiers took it. V'sira coats, the sira refers to the thorn, meaning to say, Keshakaras David es Knaf Me'ilo Shel Shaul, the same idea. When David HaMelech, when he cut off the corner of the garment of Shaul b'ma'ara in the cave, Hayalo la'avner l'lamid chosal David. That's when Avner should have said something good about David. V'lomar l'Shaul ra kamachosal lecha. He should say, look, re'ei kamachosal lecha, see how he had mercy on you. V'lo harach, he didn't kill you b'yoscha yachad imo b'ma'ara, when you were together in the cave. V'lo limed chos, but he didn't do that. He didn't teach innocence for David HaMelech at that moment. Elamar, rather, instead he said, Shema k'shavarta meitzel hakotzim v'hasira, maybe when you were walking by the thorns, nechnas echad min hakotzim maybe that's how the thorn got into your garment and it cut it, and it was because Avner did not speak on behalf, so to speak, of David HaMelech, so that's why in the end, that's why ultimately Bor Hasira is alluding to the fact that's why ultimately he was killed. And the Gemara continues, the pasuk says, Vayateu Yoav al toch hashar ledaber ito basheli, it says that Yoav took Avner to speak to him in private, and the Gemara says, Amar Rav Yochanan says, Shadanu din Sanhedri, that he judged him like a Sanhedrin would judge him. Amar Lei said to him, he said to Avner, why'd you kill Asol? And the response was, as we said above, Asol rodefaya, because Asol was pursuing me. I had a right to kill him. He said back, you should have saved yourself with one of his limbs. You didn't have to kill him. You could have struck him in a limb. He said, Lo yachili, I couldn't do that. So he said back to him, you were able to strike him in the fifth rib. Again, you couldn't strike him in one of the other limbs. And then the pasuk again said, Ledabri to basheli, what does that mean? And the Gemara says, Amar Rav Yehuda Marav. Rav Yehuda says that Rav says al iske shalo, and we'll take a look at Rashi. Rashi explains Shadanu din Sanhedri. Again, he judged him like a Sanhedrin. Kimo el ziknei iro vel shar mekomo, comes from the pasuk where it mentions ziknei iro and shar mekomo. That's a reference to the Sanhedrin. That's the reference over here. The stam shar lashon Sanhedrin. When you see the word shar, it means Sanhedrin. Who shayu dan in sham. That's the Sanhedrin where they would judge by the gate. And Rashi continues, al iske shalo means lashon shal nalcha. It's a language of shal nalcha. Take off your shoe. And Rashi explains, Shalo Barma, he asked him the following question, and he did it in a way that was crafty. He said, Yevama gidmis he choletzes, let's say you have a Yevama, she doesn't have a hand, how is she able to take off the shoe? Hischel shochem ilafanov, so then Avner began to bend down, umareyu, kachi choletzes b'shinen, and he showed how it happens, she'll do it with her teeth. And at that moment, v'ushalav charbo v'hargo, at that moment he took out a sword and he killed him. Like that reference in the pasuk that it says b'chaguraso asher b'mosnav, and it says benalo, it says with his shoe that was on his feet. And the Gemara continues, the pasuk says vayakeu shamal achomesh, again he struck him in the fifth rib. Amar Rav Yochanan says bedofen chamishis, again it's in the fifth rib, makom shamara v'chaved teluyin bo, it's the place where the gallbladder and the liver where they hang from. And the Gemara continues, the pasuk says, "V'heishav Hashem es damo al rosho." Hashem returned his blood to his head. Asher paga b'shnei anoshim tzadikim v'tovim imenu, because he had killed two people who were greater tzadikim than him. Again, this is a reference to the punishment that Yoav had for killing two tzadikim. And the Gemara darshans tovim. What does it mean that they were good? Shayu darshan achin v'rakin, because they would darshan the achs and the raks. V'hu lo darash, but Yoav did not make that drasha. And tzadikim, they were righteous. Shehein bepeh, they were instructed to do something by mouth. But they didn't do it. V'hu bigeres, he was just given a letter, and Asan, he did it. And Rashi explains, Shehim darshu achin v'rakin, they darshan the achin and rakin, meaning shelo l'kayim mitzvahs hamelech, they would not fulfill an instruction of the king, lavar al divrei Torah, if it would go against the Torah, amasa k'da'amar, and amasa, we just said that above, that was in terms of bittul Torah, he was not going to listen to the king if it involved bittul Torah. And Avner, and where did Avner do that? Kishamar lo shoal avodav, when Shaul said to his servants, Sobu v'hemisu es kohanei Hashem, go kill the kohanim of Hashem in Nov, uchsiv, and it's written, v'lo avu avdei Shaul l'shloach yodam v'lefko. It says that the servants of Shaul did not want to do that, so you see that they darshan Achin and Rakin. However, Yoav v'hu lo haya doresh. Yoav did not do that. V'harag Uriah, and he killed Uriah b'mitzvaso shel David, with the instruction of from the instructions of David. Afagav shelo tziva David ela bigeres, even though David HaMelech, he did not command him directly, he just sent a letter with that instruction. Kedechsiv vayichtav v'sefer leimor havu es Uriah. It says that he wrote in a sefer to bring Uriah, and so you see that Yoav did not darshan Achin v'Rakin. He listened to the instruction of the king, even though it was wrong, and he listened to the instruction of the king, even though he didn't hear it directly from the king, he got it in a letter. And the Gemara continues, the pasuk says, Ve'amasa lo nishmar b'cherev asher b'yad Yoav. Amasa was not careful about the sword that was in the hand of Yoav. Amar Rav says, Shalo chashtu, he never suspected that he would murder him. And the Gemara continues, the pasuk says, by Yoav vayikbar b'beiso b'midbar. It says they buried him in his house in the midbar. And the Gemara says, Atu beiso midbar, who is his house? A midbar, what does this pasuk mean? Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Rav Yehuda says that Rav says, Kimidbar, it was like the wilderness. His house was like a midbar. Ma midbar mufkar lakol, just like a midbar is an ownerless place, everyone has access to it. Af beiso shal Yoav, so to the house of Yoav mufkar lakol, it was ownerless, so to speak, to everyone. He brought a lot of poor people. He sustained a lot of poor people in his house. Davar acher, another explanation, Kimidbar, his house was like a wilderness. Ma midbar menuka migezel v'arayas, just like a wilderness is clean from theft and from arayas, from illicit relationships. Af beiso shal Yoav, so to the house of Yoav menuka migezel v'arayas, it was innocent from any gezel or any arayas. And the Gemara continues, the pasuk says in Divrei Hayomim, V'Yoav yechayes sha'arir, it says that Yoav sustained the people of the city. Amar Rav Yehuda says, what does that mean to say? Afilu monino v'tzachanta toim paris lahu, even small fish he would give that as a treat to the aniyim, to the poor. Hadron aloch nigmar hadin, we will return to you perek nigmar hadin. This is the end of the 6th perek of Meseches Sanhedrin. If you're enjoying these videos and this channel, please like, share, and subscribe, and take a look at the description box below to see how you can support this channel. And we will begin the 7th perek of Meseches Sanhedrin in the next video on Daf Mem Tes Amud Beis.